Hi everyone. Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of the new Garden record. Haha! The Garden is a California rock duo. This is their sophomore full-length LP, and it is 35 minutes of ultra weirdo punk, loaded with crunchy bass lines, hyper drum beats, some synthetic percussion as well, along with some odd samples and maybe some keyboards. It's like this cauldron of MIA and Devo and Atari Teenage Riot and The Prodigy coming together in this trashy blend of punk and pop punk and electronic music. Instrumentally, what this album offers is skeletal, but it's pretty odd. But what makes it odder are the vocals of Mr. Wyatt Shears. His voice is very animated, it's contorted. It almost sounds like a joke band started by two dudes just so that they could go down to the local open mic nights in their immediate area and perform to freak out the locals. In retrospect of writing this review, it's also a little mindless self-indulgence ish. But somehow they wound up on EPITAPH Records and they sound completely serious about their lack of serious. Now, this thing is 17 tracks long, so a lot of this album's runtime is spread out among these 1 and 2 minute long tracks. Nothing really overstays its welcome or develops all that far. Now, the music on this thing, keeping with the punk spirit, is very simple, very direct. It's not flashy in any sort of way. Even on the tracks that don't really take a rock approach, like the track Jester's Game, where on here we have a lot of looped beats, a few eerie synth notes here and there, along with a couple noisy samples, and the structure of the track, the verse, chorus, verse, it's pretty cut and dry. And I think this simplicity and this directness puts a lot of emphasis on the vocals, as does the mix. The vocals are very high in the mix, and I understand why. The vocals are the most unique thing that Garden has going for them, and they are very standout, they are very odd. And some of the hooks on this thing are instantly catchy. Red, green, yellow, switch lanes! Everything has a face! There are just so many lyrical refrains on this thing that stick in my head just out of sheer weirdness. The issue is, though, is that the vocals become obnoxious after a little while, unfortunately. As much as I do get a Devo vibe from the singing, simultaneously it's like listening to a mutant Billy Joel Armstrong of Green Day. And I think it could have been worse. It definitely could have been worse, but the only reason it doesn't get worse is that I think the songs all stop. They all end before they reach their full annoying potential. After a while, the lack of substantive songwriting on this record just loses flavor, and it just kind of makes the album seem really redundant, a little one note. Because even as they switch it up, other instrumental elements of the Garden sound get kind of redundant as well. The very thin, farty, echoey bass lines, the claustrophobic drums, as well as the vocals, like I said earlier. Now, I think there are some highlights on this record. There are songs that I like Red, Green, Yellow, or the song Egg, which oddly enough is kind of this weird piano rock tune that pops up out of nowhere. Sounds like a combination of lounge music and the Strokes. 1 minute it's really slick, the next minute there are these roaring bass riffs that remind me of the Minutemen. And the freakish and dark Devour is definitely a highlight for me as well. Strange that two of my favorite tracks on the record are like two of the longest tracks on the record, but whatever. They're all small, very likable qualities about almost every track here, but they also have issues that add up into large issues over the run of this entire album. I think that the Garden, they come off very eclectic and very strange and oddball, and while these characteristics definitely make them stand out, simultaneously it sort of pigeonholes the music too into this one sort of gear that it never quite switches out of, even with, again, the stylistic window dressing changes from one track to another. I think they have some cool ideas. I think they have a lot of energy, a lot of chutzpah, but the song ideas are just way too rough and sketchy. I'm feeling a decent to strong 5 on this thing. Transition! Have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What do you think I should review next? And smash that like! And that's about it. Anthony Fantano, The Garden, ha! Forever.